Most people believe money grows through force, through grinding, pushing, obsessing, sacrificing sleep, peace, and sometimes even their own integrity. But the first truth I need to tell you arrives like a quiet shock. Obsession does not multiply money. Anxiety does not multiply money. Fear does not multiply money. In fact, these emotions drain prosperity faster than any wrong decision ever could. I learned this not from books or trends, but from ancient Jewish wisdom whispered for generations. Wisdom that teaches that money expands in spaces where the soul is not shrinking. When I first understood that, it felt like someone had tilted my world slightly, just enough for all my assumptions to slide out of place. Before we go deeper, I want you to do something small but powerful. Write in the comments a sentence you often say about money.
It might be something you mutter under your breath, something you tell yourself when no one is around, something you repeat without noticing. I ask you to write it for one reason. Words reveal the architecture of your beliefs, and beliefs silently shape your financial reality long before your actions do. Seeing your own sentence in front of you is like turning on a light in a room you've walked through in the dark for years. Ancient wisdom teaches that money is not merely a resource, it is a mirror. It reflects your inner world with uncanny accuracy. When you carry fear, you attract instability. When you carry obsession, you attract imbalance. When you carry peace, you attract clarity. And clarity is what allows opportunities to find you without you having to burn yourself out chasing them.
This is the part people resist, because we're conditioned to believe peace equals laziness, that calm equals complacency. But Jewish tradition teaches the opposite. True prosperity rests only where the mind and spirit are steady enough to sustain it. I grew up hearing stories of people who worked themselves into exhaustion yet collected nothing but stress, while others, gentler, calmer, more aligned, seemed to grow their wealth almost naturally. It felt unfair until I understood the deeper law. Money follows order. Money follows intention. Money follows soul. When the inner world is chaotic, abundance has nowhere stable to land. When the inner world is balanced, prosperity can finally take root. And that is why this journey must begin with you noticing the language you use, the tone you speak to yourself with, the emotions you have attached to money without realizing it. Because if your words carry anxiety, your reality will echo anxiety. But if your words begin shifting toward calm expansion, your life will start reshaping itself around that frequency. What you are about to discover is not a secret formula, not a trick, not a loophole. It is a way of seeing prosperity that removes the heaviness most people carry without questioning. And once this new lens settles into place, you will begin to understand why the next principle, the one rooted in the oldest layers of spiritual tradition, quietly transforms everything you thought you knew about wealth. There is an ancient belief woven through Jewish tradition, a belief so steady and so old that it feels less like an idea and more like the hidden wiring of the universe. Money is not just currency, it is energy. And energy responds not to desperation or panic, but to alignment.
Growing up, I often heard elders speak about prosperity not as a chase, but as a resonance, a kind of internal tuning. At the time, I didn't understand it. I thought success came from intensity, from pushing harder than everyone else. But experience has a way of softening arrogance, and slowly I began to see what they meant. Jewish wisdom teaches that intention shapes reality long before action does. The inner world precedes the outer one. In the ancient texts, wealth is not defined only by accumulation, but by capacity, the capacity to hold, to manage, to channel, to sustain. Abundance has always been seen as something that flows through you, not something you squeeze into your hands. And this is why so many hard-working people never feel secure. They strengthen their effort, but they never strengthen the vessel that must hold the results.
My family carried stories of this truth across generations. One of them was about a man named Yosef, a distant ancestor whose life illustrated this principle with painful clarity. He wasn't greedy, he wasn't reckless, but he lived with a constant fear of losing everything. And in his anxiety, he clutched tightly to every coin, every opportunity, every moment. The more he held on, the less he gained. Money slipped through his fingers like water because his vessel, the internal container, was too full of fear to receive anything new. It wasn't until he shifted his internal state that his fortune changed. And not through harder work, through inner alignment. This reframing shifts the entire conversation about prosperity. It challenges the idea that success comes from self-punishment or obsessive drive. It reframes wealth not as war, but as relationship. When I began to see money as something that responds to the emotional climate inside me, the tension in my chest eased for the first time in years. Suddenly, wealth didn't feel like a mountain to conquer. It felt like a garden, something that grows when tended to with calm, purpose, and clarity. And here lies a truth most people never consider. The biggest financial blocks often come from the mind, not the market, from beliefs, not circumstances, from emotional patterns, not lack of effort. There are 3 core misconceptions humanity keeps repeating, 3 illusions that distort the relationship with money so thoroughly that they trap people in cycles of stress they can't explain. And to break the first illusion, the one most people cling to without even knowing, we need to look at how the world has tricked us into believing that stress is actually the engine of success. The first misconception, the one that quietly harms more people than economic recessions or bad decisions, is the belief that stress is productive, that tension equals progress, that anxiety somehow fuels success. I once held this belief so tightly that it felt like a badge of honor. If I wasn't exhausted, I thought I wasn't doing enough. If I wasn't worrying, I thought I didn't care enough. And this mindset, shared by millions, is precisely what blocks the very abundance we're trying to reach. Jewish wisdom teaches that a mind in survival mode cannot receive blessing. Fear narrows your perception. Anxiety shuts down intuition. Stress pulls you into tunnel vision where you can only see danger, not possibility. When your nervous system is clenched, your creativity collapses. You stop noticing opportunities sitting right beside you. You make rush decisions because you are trying to outrun an invisible threat. And in that state, money does not multiply, it evaporates. I remember a man named Daniel, a friend of my father, who embodied this lesson perfectly. He was intelligent, skilled, and relentless in his work. But he lived with constant pressure. His shoulders always tense, his voice always tight. He believed wholeheartedly that worry kept him sharp. But over time, that worry became the architect of his downfall. He missed critical opportunities, not because he lacked ability, but because his mind was too flooded with tension to recognize openings. He misjudged partnerships, misread signals, and made decisions rooted in fear. He was always moving, always pushing, but never expanding. His life became a cycle of exhaustion and disappointment. One evening, during a difficult season, he confessed something that stayed with me. I thought stress was my engine, he said, but it was the leak draining all my fuel. That sentence has echoed in my memory ever since. It revealed how deeply our culture confuses pressure with progress. Spiritually, the consequences are even clearer. Jewish teaching explains that blessing rests only where there is keli, a vessel capable of holding it. Stress cracks the vessel. Anxiety creates holes. Fear makes the container too unstable for anything lasting to settle. A person can work tirelessly, yet never receive the fullness of what they are earning because their internal vessel cannot hold it. Understanding this shattered something inside me in the best way. I began noticing how often I linked tension with effort, how often I mistook panic for productivity.
And when I slowed down enough to breathe, truly breathe, opportunities I had never seen before began appearing effortlessly, as if they had been waiting behind a curtain I finally lifted. This realization leads us to a deeper layer of ancient teaching, a principle that explains why calmness is not laziness but power, and why ease is not the enemy of success, but the very environment in which abundance can finally land. And to understand that principle fully, we must look into the core of Jewish law that ties prosperity to peace. In the layers of ancient Jewish law, there is a teaching so subtle and so profound that it redefines the entire foundation of prosperity. Blessing rests only where there is calm, not where there is frenzy, not where there is panic, not where there is noise. Peace is not a luxury in this tradition, it is a prerequisite. The sages taught that divine abundance avoids chaos the way light avoids a stormy sea. And when I first understood this, it felt like someone had placed a mirror in front of the world, revealing why so many hardworking people receive so little return. They are trying to cultivate blessing in soil that is constantly shaking. This is why the Talmud emphasizes Shalom Bayit, peace within the home, not just as a moral teaching, but as a prosperity law. Where peace settles, clarity expands. Where clarity expands, opportunities become visible. And where opportunities become visible, growth becomes natural. Anxiety agitates the internal waters, calmness clears them. It is like looking into a still pond. Only when the water rests can you see what lies beneath. But if the water is disturbed, splashing, swirling, trembling, the reflection warps and nothing becomes clear. Life works the same way. When your inner world is turbulent, your perception distorts. You overestimate threats and underestimate openings. You misread signals and mistrust your own intuition. But when your inner world rests, even slightly, you begin to see with a precision you didn't know you possessed. I began noticing this in my daily life. Whenever I approached decisions with agitation, everything became foggy. But when I paused, even briefly, solutions appeared as if they had been waiting in plain sight, simply hidden behind the ripples of my own tension. This shift was not mystical, it was structural. Peace reorganizes the mind. It sharpens your ability to discern. It expands your field of awareness so you can detect opportunities others are too rushed to notice. Jewish wisdom teaches that the blessing itself does not change, the vessel does. A peaceful mind is a wider vessel. A grounded spirit is a deeper vessel. A calm heart is a stronger vessel. And these vessels can hold far more abundance than a mind trembling with worry. So I encourage you to ask yourself a gentle question. Where in your life are you forcing instead of flowing? Where are you pushing so hard that the very intensity is blocking the outcome you seek? Where are you confusing noise with movement and exhaustion with progress? These questions are not meant to accuse you. They are meant to soften your perception just enough for the next truth to enter. Because if the first mistake is believing stress creates success, the second is even more deceptive. The belief that chasing money directly is the path to prosperity. And to see why that belief fails almost every time, we must look at the ancient principle of building vessels before seeking abundance. The second major error most people make on their financial path is one that looks deceptively logical: chasing money directly. Running after it, grabbing at it, tightening the grip every time it seems to slip away. But according to ancient Jewish wisdom, this approach is as futile as trying to catch air with your bare hands. Wealth is not something you chase, it is something you hold. And the ability to hold begins long before money arrives. It begins with the vessel. Jewish tradition teaches that abundance flows through kelim, containers. And these containers are not physical. They are built from character, discipline, clarity, routine, intention. The mistake of chasing money is that it focuses all energy on the resource, not on the container meant to receive it. It's like pouring water into a cracked jar. No matter how fast you pour, no matter how much you pour, everything leaks out. And when it leaks, people assume they need to chase more water, not repair the jar. I once knew a shopkeeper named Miriam who learned this lesson painfully. She worked tirelessly, waking before sunrise, closing long after dark. She chased every customer, every sale, every opportunity. But her finances kept collapsing, not because she lacked effort, but because her inner container was filled with fear, disorganization, and self-doubt. She earned money constantly, but held almost none of it. It slipped through the cracks of emotional chaos she never realized she carried.
One evening, after a particularly difficult month, she told me, "I feel like I'm always running, but the finish line keeps moving." And she was right, because the race wasn't the problem, the vessel was. Don't chase the blessing, build the container. Don't pursue abundance, become someone capable of holding abundance. This shifts the focus from frantic doing to intentional becoming, from obsession to order, from pressure to presence. When the vessel becomes strong, when your habits stabilize, your mind calms, your ethics stay clear, money begins to flow toward you naturally, like water seeking a stable place to settle. This is why the calmness discussed earlier becomes essential. A peaceful mind can build a vessel. An anxious mind can only chase. And chasing leads to exhaustion, not expansion. When I began applying this principle, everything changed. I stopped asking, how do I earn more, and started asking, how do I strengthen my container? The answers were small but transformative.
Refining routines, honoring commitments, organizing finances, clarifying intentions, aligning actions with values. Slowly, my vessel grew, and abundance finally had somewhere to stay. And this brings us to a deeper truth, one that explains why vessels matter so much. Because in Jewish wisdom, wealth does not expand from effort alone. It expands from identity, from who you become, not just what you do. And understanding this principle will shift the very way you move through the world. There is a moment, quiet but unmistakable, when you realize that money does not grow from what you do. It grows from who you are becoming. This is one of the most transformative principles in Jewish wisdom, and also one of the most misunderstood. People assume their income is tied to hours, labor, strategy, or opportunity. But beneath all of that lies identity, the spiritual blueprint that sets the ceiling for what you can receive. You cannot hold wealth that contradicts who you believe yourself to be, and you cannot sustain abundance that exceeds the size of your inner world. This is why working harder often leads to exhaustion rather than expansion. You can intensify your effort, but if your identity is still anchored in scarcity, fear, or unworthiness, the results will collapse under the weight of that inner limitation. It's like planting a strong seed in shallow soil. The seed might sprout, but it will never flourish. The soil, your identity, determines the strength of everything that grows from it. Modern psychology mirrors this truth with striking precision. Researchers have found that people subconsciously self-regulate their financial lives based on their internal self-concept. If someone sees themselves as barely getting by, they will unconsciously make decisions consistent with that identity, even when opportunities arise. If someone sees themselves as capable, growing, and deserving, their actions align with expansion. Identity silently governs behavior, and behavior shapes destiny. I once watched this unfold in the life of a young man named Ezra. He worked tirelessly, juggling 2 jobs, always on the edge of burnout. But no matter how much he earned, his life stayed stuck at the same level. It wasn't until he confronted a deep-seated belief, the belief that he wasn't the kind of person who could live with ease, that things began to change. The moment he shifted his inner narrative, his decisions changed, his confidence grew, and his financial reality followed. Not because he worked harder, but because he grew into someone capable of receiving more. This principle reveals the hidden flaw in the hustle harder philosophy. Hustle without identity evolution is a cage. But when identity evolves, effort becomes effective, purposeful, and aligned. You stop pushing from desperation and start moving from clarity. Jewish wisdom teaches that each person has a divine spark, a neshama, that is wired not for survival, but for expansion. When your identity aligns with that truth, your financial life begins to reflect it. You start making choices that match growth. You start speaking in a way that opens doors. You start recognizing opportunities that your old self would have overlooked entirely. And this shift leads naturally to the next revelation. If identity fuels expansion, then there must be a formula,
A spiritual alignment that helps you embody the person capable of holding abundance. And indeed, there is. A simple, ancient, three-part sequence that multiplies money without anxiety, obsession, or self-betrayal. There's an ancient pattern, a three-part alignment so simple that many overlook it, yet so powerful that it quietly transforms the lives of those who practice it. Jewish wisdom teaches that prosperity rests on three pillars: gratitude, aligned action, and ethical intention. When these three are spoken together, lived together, breathed together, they form a spiritual structure that attracts abundance without anxiety or self-sacrifice. I remember the first time I heard this teaching. It felt less like learning something new and more like remembering something I had always known but had forgotten. The formula unfolds gently, but its impact is profound. The first part is gratitude. Not vague gratitude, not forced gratitude, but conscious recognition. Thank God. Gratitude lifts the heart above scarcity. It dissolves the frantic belief that everything depends solely on your strength. Gratitude steadies the ground beneath your feet, reminding you that goodness already exists in your life, and that abundance flows more easily to a heart that is open rather than clenched. The second part is aligned action. I am working, not hustling blindly, not rushing out of fear, but acting in harmony with who you are becoming. Action is the bridge between spirit and matter. Without it, dreams remain untouched clouds. But action rooted in clarity, not panic, becomes a magnet for opportunity. It signals to life that you are participating, that you are not waiting passively for change, but moving steadily toward it. Jewish wisdom honors effort, but only when the effort flows from intention rather than desperation. The third part completes the structure.
And I am developing. These words are a declaration of expansion. They send a message to your identity that you are still building, still unfolding, still stretching into your potential. This dissolves the invisible ceilings created by fear or old beliefs. Development means you are not finished, you are deepening. You are increasing your vessel. You are preparing for more. Together, these three phrases form a container strong enough to hold abundance. Gratitude softens the heart. Action grounds the intention, and development stretches the capacity. I began saying them daily, and something subtle started to shift, not outside me, but within me. My decisions became calmer, my awareness sharpened, my sense of possibility widened. Opportunities that once hid in the background stepped forward. It was as if the world had always been offering more, but only now did I have the inner structure to receive it. To anchor this principle into your life, I encourage you to create a simple daily practice. Choose a moment, perhaps around 9 in the morning, and repeat the formula slowly, as if you are aligning your inner compass. Let the words settle. Let them breathe inside you. Even if nothing changes immediately, you are reshaping the vessel. And vessels grow quietly before they overflow. And once this alignment begins to take root, you will start noticing something extraordinary. Real lives transformed not by extreme strategies, but by these gentle, ancient principles. Lives that show what becomes possible when a person stops chasing money and instead becomes someone capable of multiplying it. I once met a man named Samuel, whose life became the clearest proof of how these ancient principles work, not in theory, not in abstraction, but in the raw, unpredictable landscape of real life. When I first encountered him, he was exhausted in a way that went beyond physical tiredness. His spirit looked worn. His eyes carried the heaviness of someone who had tried too hard for too long. He told me he felt like life was always one step ahead, slipping out of reach, no matter how intensely he chased stability. He wasn't lazy, he wasn't careless. If anything, he was too committed, too anxious, too entangled in the idea that pressure equaled progress. At that time, his small repair shop was barely surviving. He worked long hours, took every customer, accepted every job, yet his income stayed stuck in the same suffocating loop.
He blamed the economy, his location, his luck, but never once considered that the blockage might live inside him, not outside. I recognized the same patterns I once carried: fear disguised as discipline, obsession disguised as responsibility. So I shared with him the formula you now know. Thank God, I am working and I am developing. He looked at me with confusion at first, then with a mix of skepticism and exhaustion, the way people look when they want something to be true but don't trust it yet. Still, he agreed to try it. Not because he believed in ancient teachings, but because he had run out of ideas, and desperation sometimes opens the door that pride keeps shut. Every morning, before unlocking his shop, he paused, placed his hand on the cold metal shutter, and repeated the words quietly. At first, nothing changed, but something inside him began to loosen. His shoulders dropped.
His breath deepened. The familiar tension in his jaw softened. And gradually, almost invisibly, his perception shifted. Within a few weeks, things that had been stuck for months began to move. A contract he had forgotten about finally came through. A supplier gave him unexpected credit. A longtime customer recommended him to a company looking for permanent support. None of these were miracles. They were openings he had been too stressed to notice before. With a calmer mind, he began making smarter decisions. With a growing identity, he handled challenges differently. With a stronger vessel, he held on to opportunities instead of letting them leak out. And then came the moment that changed everything. "I'm not chasing anymore," he told me with a quiet smile. "Money is coming to me because I finally have space for it." His shop didn't just improve, it stabilized. His income didn't just rise, it multiplied. But the greatest transformation wasn't financial, it was spiritual. He no longer lived in fear. He no longer carried the belief that he needed to sacrifice his peace to survive. His story mirrors countless others I've witnessed. People from different backgrounds, different beliefs, different worlds, all discovering the same truth. Abundance is not reserved for a chosen few. It responds to alignment, to intention, to identity. And once you see this pattern unfold in someone else's life, you begin to understand the larger philosophy behind it, the foundation of sustainable, soul-aligned prosperity that Jewish wisdom has guarded for centuries. When you began to witness how these principles shape real lives, a deeper understanding emerges, a kind of quiet revelation that rearranges everything you thought you knew about money.
חכמי חוכמה העולם אהבו that prosperity לא accident, לא stroke of luck, לא random blessing lands on the fortunate. It is the natural outcome of alignment between intention, integrity, and inner expansion. In this tradition, wealth is not measured only by what enters your hands, but by what your soul can sustain without breaking. That, more than anything, explains why so many people rise quickly only to collapse just as fast. Their vessel couldn't hold what arrived. Ancient teachings describe creation through speech. God said, and it was so. This isn't just a theological statement, it's a blueprint for human experience. Words shape reality because they shape identity, and identity shape behavior. When you speak limitation, your life contracts. When you speak growth, your life expands. When you speak fear, you shrink your own horizon.
But when you speak possibility, doors you never saw before begin appearing. It sounds poetic, yet it is profoundly practical. Everything you've learned so far fits into one larger philosophy. Prosperity that endures must be soul-aligned. It must match your ethics, your peace, and your structure. Abundance gained through chaos cannot be kept. Money earned through anxiety drains as fast as it comes. Wealth built at the cost of your spirit becomes a curse instead of a blessing. But when your values, your actions, and your identity point in the same direction, something shifts. Prosperity becomes sustainable, not fragile. This is why Jewish wisdom emphasizes not just earning, but becoming, not just receiving, but preparing, not just asking, but aligning. The work is internal long before it becomes external. And when the internal world grows, every area of life begins to rise with it. Finances, relationships, opportunities, intuition, peace. Wealth becomes a reflection of order rather than chaos. To feel this truth rather than merely understand it, I invite you into a simple 7-day experiment. For 7 days, speak the formula with intention. For 7 days, refuse to chase. For 7 days, build the vessel instead of hunting the blessing. Notice what shifts, not always in your bank account at first, but in your mind, your clarity, your emotional steadiness. Growth begins silently, the same way dawn begins before anyone sees the light touching the horizon. As you move through these 7 days, hold one thought like a steady flame. You are not fighting the world for your place in it. You are creating space within yourself for what already seeks to reach you. And as we step into the final chapter, there is one more message, the closing thread that ties all of this together and opens the doorway to everything that comes next. You've walked through ancient principles, quiet revelations, inner restructuring, and the gentle undoing of beliefs that once held you captive. And now, as we enter the final chapter of this journey, I want you to understand something essential. Nothing you've learned here was meant to overwhelm you. It was meant to free you, to show you that prosperity does not require obsession, anxiety, or the sacrifice of your soul. It requires alignment, a harmony between who you are, what you believe, and how you speak your world into being. If there is one message you carry forward, let it be this: never again reduce your life to the size of your fears. Never again allow old patterns to dictate your capacity to grow. Never again believe that chaos is the price of abundance. Speak expansion into your days. Speak clarity into your actions. Speak identity into your decisions. Replace the old phrases, the ones rooted in scarcity or exhaustion, with a new anchor that widens your world. Thank God I am growing. These words steady your spirit. They calm your mind. They stretch your inner vessel just enough for new blessings to rest inside you without slipping away. And now, as tradition teaches, I offer you a blessing older than any financial principle, a blessing carried through centuries of wandering, rebuilding, and rising. May the Lord bless you and protect you. May the Lord illuminate your path and grant you peace. Let these words settle over your life like a soft shield, guiding your steps with wisdom, guarding your heart with clarity, and surrounding your home with calm expansion. Blessing is not something you chase, it is something you become ready to hold. Before we close, I ask for one final gesture, not as a favor, but as an act of shared purpose. Think of 3 people who live under the weight of financial fear. 3 people who mistake anxiety for responsibility. 3 people who have forgotten that peace is part of prosperity. Share this message with them. When wisdom travels, it multiplies. When guidance is passed forward, it strengthens. When light is offered, it extends far beyond the hand that carries it. Your journey does not end here. It begins now. In your words, in your intentions, in the inner vessel you continue to build day by day. May your path widen. May your peace deepen. May your prosperity arrive without strain, without fear, without fragmentation. And may your life become a living proof that abundance is not conquered, it is cultivated.